What is up everybody, Motosmith here with my first ever 592 bike review featuring the 2010 Ducati Monster 696. This is one of Ducati's most popular and iconic bikes and is fitted with a 696cc 4-stroke 90-degree L twin-cylinder engine, incorporating a 6-speed transmission with the bike having a recorded top speed of 130 miles per hour. The notoriety of this motorcycle in the worldwide biking community is well established, and most people know about the Ducati Monster well before they even see what one looks like. But it's well understood that when you do catch a glimpse, the Monster does not disappoint. The sheer elegance and beautiful design of this bike is rivaled only by the magnificent start-up and rumble of the engine. Let's have a listen. The engine is air-cooled, with Ducati deciding to take the old school approach and fit the bike with a carburetor as opposed to a modern electronic fuel injector. This sees the bike pushing out around 79 horsepower at 9,000 RPM and a max torque of around 51 foot-pounds and approximately 7,700 RPM. And now that we've had enough time to admire the appearance and specs of the bike, it's time to take it for a ride and feel it for ourselves.
Alright, so here we are in Breeden Hoop, right at the entrance, and we're now about to take a little ride. Not sure how far up the road it's going to take us, but it's just basically to get a decent feel of the bike. Alright, let's go. One of the most notable things about the Ducati Monster is the aggressive low end. Much like the Triumph, it has a lot of torque in the low end, and it's readily accessible as soon as you blip the throttle, which I'm gonna hope to do at some point when we start along the less congested area of the road. So as you can see right there in the first gear, you give the throttle a little bit of angle and it's already delivering loads and loads of low end power, just propelling you almost into the seat with the amount of power and torque that's put down from just the slightest bit of acceleration. And that is what I would suppose gave the Ducati Monster its first notable height in the early. Apart from that, there's an aggressive rumble. The first gear hauls a good 8 to 9,000 RPM, and you can just do so much with all that power. Another notable aspect of the Ducati Monster is that it has a lot of maneuverability. It's a very nimble bike, reminds me a lot of my Triumph Daytona. Very nimble, very easy to throw your weight around, and the upright position gives you a good seat in, so it's not really so much fight, or you get so much fight as you do with a lot of the other bikes, particularly sport bikes, where you have to lean a lot more than you do. You can actually just work the handle a bit, and it gives you really nice maneuverability, very nimble, very easy to control, and that is something you really want in a bike that's as powerful as this. As you can see, overtaking is child's play for this bike. It has all the power to make you execute very easy, very efficient overtakes, regardless of what gear you're in. Bike is just as good as the acceleration. Gives you a very, very likable, very enjoyable cruise in the lower gears. And there's very little to say except that this is a very exceptional bike. One of the things that I like doing as a rider is I don't really use my brakes as much as most would. I prefer to let the engine brake of the bike act as a brake in itself. And the thing I like about this bike is that the deceleration when you come out of the throttle, it's actually, I would say accurate, but calculated would be a bit more of a bit more accurate. It's not like a lot of bikes where when you start coming out of the throttle there's this kind of like a jerking motion that you get. It's more like, you know, your deceleration is actually felt with every position of the throttle. So you can actually execute a lot more accurate engine brake, a lot more to your liking. Like I said, the acceleration on this bike is absolutely wonderful. Without a doubt, this bike has earned the hype it's managed to accumulate over the years within the biking community. Now I know there's going to be some of you watching that think, or thinking to yourselves that I'm not using the bike to its fullest potential, there's a lot more that I can be doing. But please bear in mind that this is more of an educational video, it's more of a review. So the basic introduction to the bike. Also, it's worth mentioning that, you know, the bike does not necessarily belong to me, so out of respect for the individual who trusted me to take this bike today for the purpose of this video, I'm going to treat this bike better than I would treat my bike. Something else to note is that I don't really ride this bike often, or more so at all, so I'm not very familiar with the ins and outs of this particular bike. And it's never advisable to ride a bike that you're not familiar with in a manner that will be otherwise deemed dangerous. You know, riding your bike the way you want is one thing because you understand your bike and you're accustomed to it. But riding someone else's bike with the same level of confidence is never a good idea. So always remember, whenever you're riding someone's bike for the first time, or for the first time in a long time, always be careful, always take it easy. Always ride within a respectable speed and manner to avoid getting into an accident. It's never worth it.
There's some police in the area. I mean, this bike just gives you such a robust feeling being on top of it. You feel the power, you feel the torque, you feel all the low end, you feel it in the high end. This bike is really a rider's bike. I'm choosing to ride carefully today, so no overtaking on double lines, no undertaking, just a nice clean Sunday ride. like I mentioned about the engine braking, when I was coming up on this car, just not bit of acceleration I did not stop the front nor back brake once. That was purely the engine brake of the bike. And you notice how smooth that was. That was me just actuating the throttle in the opposite direction, relieving the acceleration, and the bike just absolutely communicated with that to a T. It was on par, it was precise. I really like that about this bike. I really hope it's not going to rain. That would be just my luck if it decides to rain. I would for once like to have one ride without having the rain come mess everything up for me.
So we are back where we started with the bike. That was an incredible ride. This thing is absolutely beastly and definitely lives up to its reputation and the hype that it has in the biking community. I've got to say that this is my first time actually extensively riding a Ducati Monster, and it does not disappoint. I did find on the trip back that there were a couple of latency issues with the bike, but they may be owner specified. Some people like to tweak their bikes in a certain direction, in a certain way, to give certain performance attributes, and I figured that that's probably one of those. It felt like one of those like owner preferred settings on the bike, but ultimately this was an incredible bike. This is definitely the monster that I've heard about. Very rider friendly. The orientation is just wonderful. You don't have to sacrifice comfort for speed. This bike is very comfortable to ride long distances. The power is there, the delivery is there. All in all, this is a really wonderful bike. Definitely give this bike a solid 8.5 out of 10. Alright guys, let me know what other bikes you want me to do in the future. I'm looking to make this into a series, so let me know what you think about the video. Drop your comments, drop your likes, and I will see you in the next one.